Okay. Oh, yeah. Yucky. What are you going to say?
Hi. Hi, we're back. Yeah, so we're back. So we posted on Instagram, see if you guys wanted to find out or know some of the things that we went through, or now that we look back, some of the things that we believed helped us get to where we are, or specifically get Isis through school. Keep our focus and stuff. So we have a disclaimer. I'm trying to remember at the moment, so I'll look at it.
I can say.
All right, she'll say.
So, of course, our experiences are our experiences, and these are things that will have worked for us, or things that we recognize were really crucial in getting us through, like, the last couple years. And also that at the end of the day, like, a lot of these things that we think, like these 10 tips or these 10 pieces of advice that we think are really beneficial, they're really hard to also implement at the same time, just because there's always going to be a lot of pushback of people telling you, like, what are you doing? Like, where are you? Like, there's always this kind of, like, fight to do the opposite or kind of revert back to your original ways. So just understand that, not everybody's going to support you. And sometimes it's not because they don't want to or that they don't want to see you succeed. It's more because sometimes people don't understand what it really means to engage in something like that.
Yeah, and remember, you're first gen, so that means you're the first one out. You're the first one doing it. So, you have no one to lead you on that path. So anything that you do outside of whatever your family is accustomed to is going to be sort of like an issue, or it's going to be looked at weird.
So we'll get into it. Number one, our whole idea is, like, and this is something we're still working on now. Like, this, we are in no way perfect. But keep things simple. Like, where you live, your apartment, the type of clothes you wear, like, not going on trips and vacations during spring and winter break. Like, and I understand that some of those things have, like, privilege. Like, not everyone can even do those things, and a lot of the reasons, like, why we didn't was because we didn't have the money to. But, like, when we did have that money, because we were both working like full-time, we were both working full-time, it still was like, the more money you make, the more you want to spend, and at the end of the day, like, it only hurts you more because then you're not prepared for the next step. Number two.
Alright, so don't be afraid to move away. And I'm kind of I'm a pro bias to this. Like, I completely go with this. So I'll go off on what I believe is that. So when you move away, like, so you're first generation, right? So you're probably taking care of your siblings, working, helping your parents. They're struggling, you feel bad. So when you move away, you completely distance yourself from that. So mom's not gonna no longer ask you to help in the house. You're no longer gonna have to sort of like have someone to answer to, but that will free up a lot of your time and be able to let you focus on what you want to do. So moving away for us, what's a really good experience, but a tough part kind of it is that, well, if I stay in state, I get in-state tuition or I get in-state help, and we'll get more into that about pricing for school. But for us, moving away definitely clears up your space, your mind, your head. It pulls you away from all that family drama. Mm-hmm. And now it's just you, and literally just you and your homework.
Yeah, I think part of it also is, like, you get to pave your own way and kind of establish the things that work for you without having to, like, answer to anybody else.
And quick before the next one. So another thing with moving away is that don't be afraid, because your parents have been preparing you for this your whole life. Mm. Because you've been doing errands in the house. Like, you probably, if you're first generation, you're probably struggled, or your family struggled to put food on the table. So things don't get any more harsher, and if they do, you're kind of like there already. Like, you're not used to, like, going out every weekend and spending hundreds of dollars on food. You're kind of used to this, like, low life type of life. So when you move away, don't be afraid, like, oh man, I'm gonna get evicted. Like your parents have prepared you for this. Like, you probably have a good work ethic, and you're just going to figure it out, but you have to make that leap. And once you make it, like everything your mom taught you, everything your dad taught you, everything you did through until that point will help you get ahead. Will help you get on your feet. 3. All right, so number 3 is don't look at the price. So like I said, so we're from Connecticut, and when Isis went to school, she went to Boston, Suffolk specifically, and it's a private school. You know, over $60K a year, plus the Boston lifestyle.
So college and universities are businesses. They have money, so all the money that we pay them in university fees, in healthcare, whatever it may be, like they are making money off of you. And that's just kind of how it goes, right? And we all can like just let it be. But there's a lot of, whenever you go into a department, these departments have money. Like they have money for you. I went into a program called McNair. And McNair, honestly, like saved the last year of my college. Like, and it wasn't even like I was doing bad. I had internships. I was doing a lot of stuff in Boston, but they provided so much financial support during my last year of schooling where I could take my GREs, I could go on interviews for grad school, I could go to conferences, and they were paying for all of those things. So like I am honestly eternally grateful for that program, because without it, I probably wouldn't have done all the stuff I did. Like, just straight up, I would not be in a PhD program. I would not be where we're at right now at all. I probably just would have gone straight to work for a year to, like, have money to build up to be able to do these applications, to have done all the stuff I did in my senior year. Kind of going back. Now that I'm in grad school, you recognize that there's just kind of money lying around in many different areas. They just won't tell you about it. Yeah. So the point is just ask questions, because like if you're going to conferences, if you are wanting to go on like, want to go find something out, if you want to join like a national organization in your field, like psychiatry or dentistry or public health, psychology, all those places, they have national organizations. You can ask your department like, hey, do you guys offer funding for me to sign up for this?
So this is what bad decision making is, but this is what you need.
Yeah, so sometimes. Our number 4 is have a solid support system, even if it's a dog. And I think like at the end of the day, like with me being alone, like I felt like I didn't have a support system except for like Lewis. And like that being said, like your partner does not need to be that person. Like your partner does not need to play multiple roles. It just so happens that Lewis and I are very good friends on top of being like really good partners. Like I love this guy because he's like a really good husband, but I also love him because he's a really good person. So like it's not like, oh, you should make your boyfriend or spouse whatever, because we were still dating. Like we were not married yet when we decided to make this move. So it's like we were making a huge commitment. Like having your support system be a partner that shouldn't be the only point, because then that exhausts them. It's just not fair to put all of that on one person, especially when you're going through your own thing. So like it's good to definitely branch out and like have people you can rely on and just talk to about like just shoot the shit, like haha, that's funny, like look at this meme. Like sometimes it's just good to do that with some people, and then like I can't talk to him about all girl things when I can like do that with my girlfriends. So it's like it's good to have those relationships. It's good to build that network. And also like when you have that network, like you need to learn. Like you don't have to have this characteristic, but learn how to discern or differentiate between people who like actually genuinely want to build you up versus people who are there to see you fall. So number 5 is
preguntas.
Ask a lot of questions. Just like if people ask me like what advice I have for like undergraduates or like whatever, it's always ask questions. And like we've touched upon this in some of the other like tips or whatever, but like if it weren't for me like really just going to another person or like a professor and just being like, do you have this opportunity, or like I don't want to do this project, what other project do you have available, like my life would be so different.
So number 6 is make your moves in silence. The mal de ojo is a real thing.
Like cruz.
Yeah.
Stay away.
No, so like you don't need to post. You don't need to tell, outside of your core family everything that you do. You don't need to tell the world what you're doing, because they honestly don't care. They might like your post when you post it, but at the end of the day, they don't care. It doesn't matter. It doesn't benefit them. So just work in silence, do your thing, and when you're successful, they'll just see it. They'll see it, and it's nicer when they see it and they weren't expecting it, because then you're like, yo, fuck you, man. You can see their face. They're like, what? And you're like, man.
No, we have to blur it out.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, literally. Anyway.
Yeah.
No, like some people are crazy. Like they'll be like,
wow, en serio, ese es un buen carro el que compraste.
Or they'll be like,
wow, este es tu apartamento.
And you're like, dude, what do you mean this is my apartment?
or what do you mean this is like what I drive? Or what do you mean this is how I dress? Like, so you're saying that you weren't expecting it, right? Anyway, so it's kind of like that's kind of like a personal one, right? Like just make your moves in silent, and mind your own business, and work hard, and don't keep track. So the way I look at it is because, like I said, it's a long road, and if you keep track, you're gonna be like,
oh, well, I worked 40 hours today, so, the American average time...
Like, no, just fucking work hard, and until your kids go through college, you live in a big house, and you gave your parents... you gave your parents a proper, what do you call it, retirement, and the proper funeral, then you made it. Other than that, you're still working on it, and don't keep track, because you're just gonna get discouraged, and just keep working, and
yeah, it's kind of goes back to the last one, doing your things in silence, but it's true. It's honestly more fun to reflect back at all the stuff, because especially when you get caught up with all these things, you forget all the stuff you did until you're like, oh my god, I did all these things. That's crazy. And it feels so good to really just be wow, I did that.
Yeah.
But
so real quick, for those 4 years I worked in Connecticut, and for some time in Boston, but I worked in Connecticut, so it was a 2-hour commute each way, and if I had gotten into the mindset of being oh shit, I'm wasting 4 hours going back and forth.
You wouldn't have done it.
I would have done it. Yeah.
I would have been lonely.
Most of my friends are like, Luis, what the fuck? That's so much. There was 1 year when we registered and insured 11 cars. Insurance was like, dude, we can't even make up data for you because you switch on, you take off, you can't do that no more. So you just don't look at it, just do it, and that's just what it is.
Ocho.
So this is number 8. It's a touchy one. So don't be afraid to ask for money. Literally.
Banks, your compadres, your comadres,
Literally.
Your parents, your siblings, everybody.
Do you ever wonder how your parents were able to fund your Sweet 15 or your sister's Sweet 15, their marriage, and how they gave money to all these people for those birthday parties? People aren't afraid to ask for money. They just never have people ask money for school or anything like that. So we'll talk a little more about this, but for birthdays, Christmas, and all that stuff, we're like, dude, we don't need nothing. We need money. And it's not to be oh, you expect things to be handed to you.
The second week of your check.
Wait, so it's rice and beans and rice, rice and eggs, and then huevo, and then rice and rice.
No, I had my whole thing was as long as I had avocados, because it would just be a bowl of just plain rice with an egg and avocado, and that's all I would eat, dude. 9. So 9 is don't be afraid of breaking traditions. So something we said at the very beginning was that you will very quickly become the person or everyone's be like,
where's Isis? Oh, tu tía estaba preguntando por ti. ¿Dónde andas? Where is Isis? Where is Luis?
You got lost.
Yeah.
What's up, stranger?
Yeah, we haven't seen you in años. It's dude, I'm working, I'm grinding. It's people are always gonna be judging you, and again, it's because they don't understand what you're doing.
Ask our parents what she does.
Nobody
and
knows.
They'll be like, she's a doctora.
She does psychology. But I'm she wants to give therapy. I'm
again,
no.
You are first gen, and nobody will understand what you're doing except for yourself.
And you have to just be okay with that. We have broken so many traditions, like of kind of these cultural expectations that people have for us. But in many ways, like, we feel like we're breaking generational curses. And maybe that is not the same for you. You know, we're not saying, like, go get drunk. We're not saying don't smoke. We're not saying any of those things because... But that's because Luis is very rigid. I'm not saying any of those things. It doesn't make you a bad person. It really doesn't. But I think that we get so wrapped up in what it means because, like, we as Latinos, and I will speak for our families, that it's very hard for us to express love to each other. And it's very hard for, like, Latinos to kind of get out of this, like, machista mindset of being like, I want to hug you, I want to love you, I want to tell you I love you. And instead we're like, drink this beer with me. Because that means that you're, like, coexisting. And that means you're sharing a moment. And that's totally okay. That's normal. Like, that's a beautiful thing. But we also have a habit of overdoing it. We have a habit of overspending. We have a habit of over-drinking, everything. Because we've never had enough. Because we come from such a poor background. And, like, that's so sad sometimes to see. Because then it's like, there's just so much that goes into it, right? So things like attending Christmas and just, like, not buying people gifts, like, honestly...
5 years straight. No Christmas gifts.
I mean, like, yes, some, but, like, it's not... Like, we used to buy each other gifts and stuff like that. And, like, even each other, like, we really don't buy each other gifts, like, for Christmas, for birthdays. And I feel like sometimes people think, like, oh, that's so sad. But it's, like... And this might sound cheesy, but it's, like, we try and, like, give each other things, like, throughout the whole year. Number 10 is don't underestimate yourself. So, like, a note I wrote was, like, cree en tu grandeza. Like, I think it's really easy to just doubt yourself and, like, doubt everything you do. And it's, like, kind of part of human nature. Like, it's very real to do that.
But it's especially hard or easy to do coming from a Spanish background because, you know, your parents, and as a culture, they put you down a lot, right?
Tough love.
Yeah, you spill a cup, they call you a dumbass, you can't even eat. Like, what are you good for? You know, all this stuff that, you know, sounds natural when you say it.
Yeah. So...
It's bad.
So, you know, I think it's really easy to get caught up in, like, this negative self-talk as well. And, like, we live in that culture, but I think it's really important that, like, we all understand that, like, we are all very powerful. And, like, you know, Liz and I have a conversation a lot that, like, we are our parents' retirement plans. And in many ways, like, that burden is put on us because of our first generation, like, low income status. And as I was saying before, like, even though it's technically a disadvantaged status, like, there's a lot of power in that. Those are the 10 things. And it's not an exhaustive list at all. Like, clearly we have so much to talk about. Like, we went through so much. So if there's anything that you guys want clarity on or anything that you want more information about, like what specifically we did, like what a specific like tip or piece of advice looked like for us in our lives, you know, we kind of alluded to it, but if you want a little more like in-depth, like story time, we can do that. Let us know in the comments below. Give us a like and subscribe and follow us on Instagram. It's Isis.Luis, so it's very, very OG because it's just our names. Right? That's our thing?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I was like, imagine I see the whole thing and I fucked it up.
And then this is by no means like a petty video where we just want people to feel bad for us because absolutely not.
He's starting to play.
I think it's called playtime. We will do it again if we had to, and this is just for someone who's out there wondering if they're ever gonna make it or if they're ever gonna be able to you know, break those, what is it called, generational curses. You know, that's it. All right. Thank you guys.
Bye.
See you guys next week.